And as Greenwire recently reported, the G8, it's sort of shaping up to be the time in which an emissions reduction goal will be set. How difficult do you think it's going to be to actually get to that number and have everyone agree on a number?
It's difficult, but it needs to be done at some point very quickly. I mean, they set up a process within the Bali roadmap to come to grips with those, where you have a process to target what developed countries will go forward as well as what developing countries will do. And a part of that, the difficulty in some sense, is what's the U.S. place within this debate and what will the U.S. put on the table. And that's what many Europeans and developing countries are looking for from the major economies meeting from the Bush administration in terms of what will they put on the table in Hawaii, France, and in the lead up to the G8 or in the July meeting of the G8.
So switching to the domestic front, Senator Boxer plans to put the Lieberman-Warner bill before the floor at some point in the next couple of months. What are the prospects for that bill? What are you thinking when it comes to Lieberman-Warner?
I think we're at a gestation period. I think there's a chance that some things will start to fall into place within this domestic debate. But in some sense, many of the issues that we're going to be talking about over the next year are really crucial for how that fits into the international conversation. And I think, in one particular place where the Lieberman-Warner and some of the debates that have been happening on the U.S. level could benefit from the sort of framework that was put in place in terms of the international agreement and the Bali framework is the approach for developing countries, where we have a bit more of a nuanced approach. And I think, as the Lieberman-Warner bill sort of moves forward, I imagine a number of people will be looking very critically at that set of issues as well as the targets and the allocation and a number of the other sort of critical issues. So we'll have to wait and see. Things move pretty fast on this issue, as you know.
And it seems that the international community is also paying a lot of attention to our upcoming presidential elections here in the U.S. We're in the midst of primary season, and several of the 08 candidates have put forth their plans for climate. Is there any one candidate that you think would do a better job at approaching the climate issue and being able to essentially make the international community happen? There's a lot of pressure on that 2009 timeframe. So is there someone that you think could do the best job?
Well, I think, looking at this from the lens of the international community, many of them sort of see a bit more of a nuanced approach, as I mentioned, that while the administration is really crucial in this debate, there's also Congress at the table. And that's something that many of the international people have sort of started to wake up to. And I think which one of those candidates will be better, I think we'll have to kind of wait and see. But I think, we'll need an administration that can move pretty quick, because 2009 looms pretty fast in the first days of their administration. And they'll need to get their act together pretty fast to be able to come to Copenhagen with some real commitments and actions.
And as I mentioned, there is a lot of pressure being put on this new president, and we don't even know who it is. Are we certain that whoever is in office is going to make the international community happy?
I think it's important. We've had a very growing political debate within the U.S., and the administration, the members of Congress are sort of reflecting that debate. We have corporations, we have states now stepping up very significantly to the plate, and any administration is going to reflect many of those views and sort of its thinking. And so, optimistically, you could imagine that under any administration, the climate for this issue, so to speak, will be much greater and much greater attention. And so whoever wins will have to seriously address this issue, both from a scientific standpoint, but from the growing sort of political momentum that's happening in the corporate leaders and the state level.
How do you see, or how significant is EPA's waiver decision on California tailpipe emissions when it comes to the domestic climate debate and moving forward, what that means for the discussions that we might be seeing in Congress?
It does play an important decision. I mean, obviously, the lawyers are going to have many hours of testimony as we go forward, and how that sort of unfolds into, the critical issues of what further targets does the U.S. take, and how does that fit into some of the bills floating around in terms of Lieberman-Warner, and sort of the California debate obviously plays into that. But a crucial issue is sort of what does it all add up to in terms of what the U.S. is going to do, and clearly transportation is a crucial component of it, but it's not the only sort of story in terms of emission reductions.
All right, we'll end it right there on that note. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
This is On Point. I'm Monica Trauzy. Thanks for watching.